What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a chat, have a look, have a chat, take a look, I don't know, about OP-03 Pillars of Strength. Because this was the first set that was a little bit less exciting. It was the first set that people weren't totally crazy for, and it's a set that has largely been forgotten. So take for instance the Nami, very big card, everybody loves that leader Nami, but this is the only style of alternate art leader that's never been replicated. Think of that what you will. The manga Sojiki, it's the worst manga we've had, at least in terms of price, and the price generally tends to reflect how much people want it, and if people want it less than literally every other manga, it's probably fair to say that it's the worst of the mangas. So it was a set that was largely forgotten. But it's also a set that's getting on a bit now. We are ramping up to the release of OP-10. This was OP-03. So I like to do this when we're getting a little way away from a set. I like to go back and see what's happening to the prices, how much are they rising, and here's a deal with OP-03. I'm going to show you all about it, but if you want the super quick version at the beginning, it's still pretty cheap for singles, but they're going up. Take my boy Rob Lucci. I need this card. I don't have this card. Somebody hit me up on Twitter at the Wassy and trade me this card. I've got some random alternate arts lying around. I'll trade you one of those for it. Because this is a $5 card right now. It's gone from $6.50 down to $3.50 and up to $5. And it's still extremely cheap, and it's why I need to buy it before it gets expensive. Because you'll notice it's starting to creep up. Cheap? Absolutely. No argument there. But it has gone up by like 50% since Christmas. And I know it's still only a $5 card. I'm not telling you it's an expensive card, but I absolutely am telling you that it is starting to creep up. But we're not going to be talking about $5 cards for the whole video, so let's go and have a chat. Let's start off with Sojiki. Because right now it's like a $335 card. It's not expensive. And 6 months ago, it was a $350 card. And then it fell. And it fell down to like $325, and now it's creeping back up. And I told you that Sojiki was a worse manga, and I meant it. Interestingly enough, I did pull this one. Very cool. I've got 2 mangas. It makes me happy. But the point is, this was the worst one to pull. And look, nobody should be complaining about pulling any manga, because they're very hard to pull. So if you pulled one, and I was delighted I pulled the Sojiki, it's on my channel, you can watch me pull the Sojiki, I was delighted, but it's been the worst one, and it's been going down, but it is now starting to creep up. Not fast, but it's starting to go. Leader Nami, I told you that was one of the cool cards in the set, and it absolutely is. Second card after the manga, and it's sitting there at 210. But back in September, it was 150. That is a pretty sizable jump in just a few months. And we're starting to see this across the board for all of these cards. No, they're not necessarily hideously expensive, although 210 for an old art leader is clearly pretty expensive. But we are starting to see them going up. When I'm showing you these graphs from OP-03 in this video, you're not going to see many graphs that are just a straight upwards trajectory from left to right. Because in the past 6 months is when they've started to go up. But this is kind of my point. We are at the stage with OP-03 where they are now starting to go up, where the super ridiculous cheap prices, I believe, and I can't tell the future, obviously, but I believe we are starting to see the turning point here, and that's a fairly big deal. Second biggest leader in the set, Charlotte Katakuri. Back in October, it was a $100 card, because it's a playable leader. Now up to 130. More than a 30% jump since October. That is incredibly relevant. And yeah, I know you can see at the top there, it's kind of gone from like 138 to 132. There's been a very small drop. I wouldn't worry too much about short-term small drops like that. My point is that we are seeing across the board these prices starting to rise. If you're looking for these cards, like I'm looking at the Rob Lucci going, I need to pick that up sooner rather than later. this might be the case. And remember, when it comes to your alternate art leaders, just because they're bad now doesn't mean they'll be bad in the future. All it takes is one or two new cards, and all of a sudden leaders become way better. And the poster child of this is Don Quixote do Flamingo from Romance Dawn from the very first set. Really pretty good in the OP-01 meta. Dropped off almost entirely, but then with the release of the starter deck, that card has come back and has been a player now. Now, the special rares came around in OP-03. This was the first set that had them. And the Luffy. This was the biggest one of them. These were the first lot of wanted posters. But like I say, these were the very first special rares. OP-01 and OP-02 didn't have them. Now, this one actually is pretty much going straight up left to right. 6 months ago, it was a $73 card. Now it's a $100 card. Again, you're talking like over a 30% rise in a space of 6 months. And this one is going up quite consistently, because the special rares have very low pull rates. Are these as cool as the newer versions of the wanted posters? Most people seem to think not. But for how long are these going to be readily available? And OP-03 is still findable in some shops, but it is starting to go away. Now, for my money, what is the biggest mover here is the Charlotte Katakuri Secret Rare alternate art. Because 6 months ago, that was like an $80 card. And then it dropped by half to a $40 card, and it has since almost doubled again up to a $75 card. If you want to know what happened, essentially this card was obscenely playable, then it started seeing a lot less play. And $80 for a secret rare is a lot. Even for a secret rare alternate art, $80 is a lot, but it was obscenely playable, so it kind of made sense. And then it stopped being quite so playable. But it's still a phenomenal card of a huge amount of potential. Don't get me wrong, this one, it's always going to be there or thereabouts. It's really good, and it is now recovering up. But even bad leaders, like Arlong, rocking around like a $30, $35 card right up until basically Christmas, and now all of a sudden it's an over $60 card. And I know $60 for an alternate art leader isn't horrendous, but this is not a good leader. And look, when I first saw this card, and the receipts for everything I've said are on the channel, you can always go back. I've talked about every single leader they've ever released on this channel, usually multiple times. I have given you my honest opinions on everything because I've been covering this card game from literally before it was released. And I told you I thought Arlong was going to be a really good leader. The idea that Don X2, when attacking, pay 1 to play a 4 cost, yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, never ended up being good. Never ended up being good. And look, we're getting more Fishman and all of that in new sets. Maybe one day soon Arlong becomes good, but it's never actually been good. Same thing with Porker's D-Ace. Rocking along with a $50-ish card about 6 months ago. Crashed down to a $42 card, now up to a $60 card. And Ace has had tiny little pockets of success here and there, but it's never really been a particularly good leader. Like when you're prepping for a tournament, when was the last time you sat down with your testing group before a tournament and went, right, we need to make sure we got our game plan down for the Ace matchup. We need to make sure we can beat Ace. It's not been that good. I mean, Ace at least is a popular character. Who even likes Arlong? I mean, take Iceberg. Now, I like Iceberg. I think Iceberg in a manga is phenomenal. I think the leader is super interesting. Plus, it's another leader that can play cards for free like Arlong. And I know there's a group of people out there, there's a whole Discord dedicated to it. I know people love this card, but it was literally a $20 card back in early November. It was like a $20 card. It's now a $50 card. Look at that jump. Because the set is starting to go away. And we're going to find ourselves pretty soon in a situation where we turn around and go, oh man, I wish I could get some of those OP-03 cards cheap still. Yeah, I bet you do. But I think the really good times for these are already gone. I think what I'm telling you here is the beginning of the long climb. I don't think they're, and I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going back down like that anytime soon. I think we're pretty much past the super cheap times. Why did I not pick up an iceberg for $20? Captain Eustace Kidd, one of the other of the wanted posters. Have a look at that here. Back in October, $35. Now it's $55. It's not quite doubled, but it's gone up by over 50% in the space of a few months. And again, these special rares do actually have very low pull rates. So even the less popular special rares, I do get the feeling that we're going to see these always ending up being, when the set goes out of print, when they're harder to find, I think all of these are going to end up going high just purely because of the pull rates. The Don Quixote do Flamingo wanted poster, it was down about $20, like $22 back in end of October. Now it's more than doubled up to just over 44. It's doubled since October, really November. So it's doubled in the space of like 3 months. And this is why I'm telling you about this today. Because we're not talking about, there's been a little bit of a jump. Nah, there's been a significant increase in the past few months. Take a look at the Charlotte Lin leader. It was like a $25 card at Christmas. It's now a $45 card. Since Christmas! It's only the middle of February! It's been like 7 weeks or something. Someone might want to check that. Maybe it's been 8. But the point is, it's not been very long. And the Charlotte Lin leader isn't even good. Like, who plays this? When was the last time anybody played this and did well? And yeah, I'm sure there's some random tournament somewhere you can find where one person played it. But nobody thinks this leader's good. Because it's not. We know this. Oh, I should show you the last of the wanted posters of Kaido. This is my personal favourite. This one actually was $35 at the turn of the year and is $40 now. It is going up, but it's going up a bit slower than the rest. And I just think Kaido's the coolest of them. Plus, the start deck Kaido's really good. This is another card that I've not picked up yet. And I'm starting to think, it's not as cheap as it has been, but maybe this is the time where Watson needs to go and get a Kaido leader. Last one I'll show you here, the leader Kuro. And I've always got a soft spot for Kuro because I casted a tournament in Liverpool in late 23. And when I went to bed, when I left the venue and went to bed, a Kuro had snuck into top 32 as the 32nd seed. I was delighted. When I turned back up to the tournament venue the following morning, they had rejigged the standings, they had fixed a mistake, and it actually finished 33rd and missed the top cut, and I was devastated, because obviously that's the game we were going to put on stream. But the fact that I was delighted that it might have snuck in at 32nd place kind of tells you what you need to know about this leader being good. It's not. And yet, it's gone from a $15 card back in, late September, early October, more than doubled up now. There were bargains to be had. And look, some of these cards are still pretty cheap compared to what we see in other sets. You might still be looking at this and going, wassy, mate. There's still bargains to be had. And I think you might be right. But I'm also telling you that time is running out here. These have started going up, and a lot of the ones I've shown you are really going up very significantly. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this was a set that initially just wasn't that popular. Nobody really cared. Not in a mean way, but in just kind of it was not as exciting as OP-01 or OP-02. And yet, look what's happening now. I've shown you some of the ridiculous bargains that were available. They're still not terrible, but they are running out fast. Right, that's my rant about OP-03 and the prices going up, so now it's over to you guys. What have you pulled from this set? What do you want to pull from this set? What singles are you looking to pick up before it all gets silly? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.